Hey there, true believers. It's me, Shane, and I'm here to give you another review and a recap of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney Plus. This is episode 2 called The Star-Spangled Man. They gave us a recap, which recaps are always important on these type of Marvel shows whenever they go ahead and show them to us. So I'm not going to go through the recap, but if you do remember last time, uh, Sam was very, very pissed off looking after seeing that basically the Smithsonian slash government put one over his eyes and gave the shield to some no name guy named John Walker. Wink. That's a comic book wink. But before I get right into it with some notes I took on here, some notes I took down on the pad, I want you guys to please leave me a comment, a like, and subscribe. All that really helps out. I really appreciate it. Try to get to 100 subs. So, let's go ahead and go down. So, initially, we start seeing like a zipper go down and the suits in there. First, I was like, "Is this guy putting the suit on, or what's going on?" It's him looking at the suit. He is in the locker room. John Walker's in his uniform, and he moves one of the stickers off of one of the lockers, and it has his initials. He's obviously back in his old high school where he used to play football. And there's a woman that comes in, black woman. Interesting to point that out. I have to point that out because they are obviously an interracial couple. They are married, but I only found that out because I paid attention to the credits. She is John Walker's wife, and she says it reminds me of the days of when she would sneak in there for them to do what teenagers do. Don't act like you don't know. And he said, she's asking how does he feel. He's saying, he's been a captain before, but this is much bigger than that. He doesn't want to fail the world. And after she's done talking to him, his black friend comes in. This is kind of a thing with these captains, aren't they? They all seem to have a black friend. Well, his black friend Lamar Hopkins, who is also a Marvel character, actually his wife is a character too. But when John Walker ends up turning into a jerk slash jackass, she ends up leaving him. And John Walker was known as the U.S. agent. He was known as Captain America. But if you read the comics, you know his fate. But Lamar Hopkins, uh, actually, I'll get to him later on. But Lamar Hopkins, he comes in, he says, it's not too long ago when we were in Chile doing whatever. He's saying that, this time you can't punch your problems out of everything. And John Walker saying, meeting with the Senate and speeches and everything, he just wants to get back to the job. And Lamar reminds him, and it's Lamar L.E., not Lamar L.A. Lamar reminds him this is part of the job. So this dude has tons of fanfare. Not only is he meeting people in the stand, shaking hands, taking pictures, signing action figures of Captain America, dude, there is a black drum line. They are going all out. I have no clue what state this is in. I don't even know if it matters, but they're going all out. He high fives the drum major. And if you watch Channel 7 programming like I tend to do here in the Midwest, on ABC, ABC is a subsidiary of Disney. Sarah from the Strahan and Sarah show, she's there. She's doing the Good Morning America piece on John Walker, who's the new Captain America. And they do some the usual funny interview stuff when they talk about the do eagles fly overhead and flagpoles, blah 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 blah. But when he's trying to be modest, Sarah goes into his background. Dude is the only active soldier to ever have 3 Medal of Honors, hostage rescue, counterterrorism. His test scores were off the charts. They show him, throwing the shield at various, what do you want to call them? Various, we'll call them targets. Just doing some practice, showing that he knows what he's doing. And she asked him, a question about Captain America. He says, well, I never met him because when Steve was coming off of ice, he was in West Point, his second year at West Point. But he modeled himself after Captain America. He's always felt like he wanted to do something and just help people. And he says in that way, he feels like, Cap was a brother to him, which is kind of weird to say for a person that you never met. But you know who did meet Cap? Bucky. And Bucky's watching this whole thing, and he's getting increasingly pissed off as he's watching and hearing this guy who doesn't know Cap from Shinola saying that he felt like he was a brother to him. we quickly are. It's the morning time now because all this was happening at night. So it's the morning. Sam's looking at a poster of this guy. Torres is asking him. His Torres says the guy seems nice, and while Sam and Torres are about to make their way to a plane, obviously to try to handle the flag smasher situation. Here's Bucky. He's got on his jacket, and he's not in a good mood. He's asking, "Why'd you give up the shield?" And Sam is like, "Oh, nice to see you too." Uh, he keeps telling him you shouldn't have gave up the shield. They have their back and forth, and he says you had no right to give up the shield. And Sam says you, the person with your extended life, does not get to tell a person like me about my rights. One of the points I have to point this out. One of the points I love about this show is it very much falls in line with the Captain America movie series, where they are not afraid to get raw and real. And it's very much a lot of real that's going to come at you in this episode. So he's saying to Bucky, it's over. He has bigger things to deal with. He shows him the guy from the Flag Smashers. He's saying he's probably part of the big three. He's either androids, aliens, or wizards. If you've seen that commercial, you've seen that joke, you know. Or if you've seen that trailer teaser, you know. But he's saying that, trying to figure out what they are. And I do like the fact that Bucky said he read The Hobbit in 1937 when it first came out. They have an interaction by Doctor Strange. If you've seen the joke, please look it up. Please look up the teaser trailer about it. And where Sam's going is to Munich. Munich is in Germany for those who are geographically deficient. And Bucky says, "I'm going with you." Sam can't really fight it, but he goes along with him. They're on the plane, they're having a staring contest. Very much silent. Sam is giving him the silent treatment. He tries to call him Buck, but he says, "You don't get to call me that." He said, "Steve used to call me that." He said, "Well, Steve had a plan. Do you have a plan?" He's still keeping the silent treatment. Sam jumps off of the plane. Obviously, he has wings. I believe he has Torres. You got where's a parachute? We're too low to the ground for parachutes. He rips off. He has a leather jacket and rips it off, so his vibranium arm is showing. And he's like, "Well, I don't need one," and he kind of does a comical swallow before he jumps. He tries to use his arm to hit the branches and kind of break his fall. He lands flat on his back. Sam is watching all that via Red Wing. And one of the key things that's happening throughout this episode is talking about how much Bucky just stares at people. Like, Sebastian Stan, if you've ever seen Sebastian Stan outside of the Marvel stuff, he tends to have jovial looks on his face. He doesn't seem to be like the scowling type. Give him one of these with the furrowed brow, but he's really good at it when he's playing Bucky Barnes. And now they're in a abandoned warehouse. They're smuggling weapons. Bucky wants to go on in, and Sam is kind of like, "Hey, stay back." But Bucky sneaks on in. He's like, "Oh man, look at you! A little bit of time Wakanda." And all of a sudden, "You're the White Panther." He's like, "Actually, I'm the White Wolf." Sam does not know that is actually what the Wakandas were calling him. Now, Sam thought he was ahead. Bucky thought he was ahead of Sam, but Sam catches right up. These guys are able to carry large munitions, whatever they're carrying is massive, and they're just doing it either 2 men at a time, or even one guy just picking it up by himself. So he's saying, "Okay, these guys are strong. They're probably as strong as you and Steve." And Bucky just wants to go in there. And Sam's like, "We can't. We need more information." Their position's almost given up because they hit one of the file cabinets that kind of clinks. But they're all these. They look around. They don't see anything. The flag smashers are going to make their way out. And we get a nice little interaction of Bucky saying, "I have a vibranium arm," and Sam's like, "And I can fly. Who gives a shit? We need to know what's going on." Using Red Wing, where Bucky only saw 3, Sam saw there was 5, and a possible hostage in the back of the truck. Wasn't possible because there wasn't one. Bucky, and this is just it is amazing how these enhanced people like T'Challa, like Steve, and like Bucky, while Sam is flying, he is running on foot and catches up to the first truck. Not the second truck, but the first truck. He rips it open, which is weird because wouldn't the driver behind him see that? That's one of the things that kind of like, okay. And he sees the person that Sam was in there. If you pay attention to casting calls, if you paid attention to what I told you last episode, it's Carly Morgenthau, and it's the young, the what I believe may be the gender and race bent character of Carl Morgenthau, who was the Flag Smasher. So, and the actress is 22, so it's kind of hard for me to see this young person who, if her character is 22 in this timeline where it's 6 months after everybody got back, which everybody got back after 5 years, it's hard for me to see a 22-year-old be the leader of all of this, but I'll get into that later. So, he's saying they're stealing vaccines. He says, "Hey, I'm here to help you." She smirks, puts on a mask, kicks him out. Flag smashers are on the move. We're having a truck rooftop top battle where Red Wing gets destroyed. This I want to say the B word, but I won't. But this chick rips Red Wing in half. Sam comes in. They're getting their butts kicked because these guys are what they find out. They're like, these guys are super soldiers. Okay, there are more people out there that are like Bucky and Cap. But while they're getting their butts kicked, all of a sudden a shield comes in. John Walker, the new Captain America, him and his sidekick, he sidekick swings on the helicopter and kicks somebody, and we're switching between both trucks, going through Munich traffic, even fighting. Bucky actually gets knocked on the side of the truck, and he's using that vibranium arm to hold on to it. Unfortunately, you may have that tough arm. If he falls to the ground, he's gonna be road meat. Sam comes in. Sam saves him. Sam is on. He's on top of Sam. He's like, Sam is holding him because he didn't want him to get hit. He's saying, "Yeah, we really could have used that shield right now." And he's like, "You're welcome." Car's gone. Uh, Mr. Lamar Hopkins is about to get more or less killed. Mr. John Walker, the Cap that uses the gun, shoots one of their own. When Lamar gets thrown off, he uses the shield to break his fall. And as he pulls up, he's like, "All right, you shouldn't have done that." But of course, he unceremoniously gets kicked off by Carly. And yes, I'm giving you the names early because I already told you who the characters are last time. So, well, as Bucky and I almost said Bucky and Cap, Bucky and Sam are walking and having this conversation, and Sam's like, they're like you. They're these super soldiers. Uh, Walker and his crew, they pull up in a military truck, saying, "Hey, get on in. We gotta talk." They just keep walking. Now they're trying to keep up with them, and they finally convinced them to get in after they said, "Hey, it's 20 miles to the airport." They end up taking him up on offer, but Bucky says, "Hey, you don't deserve that shield." He's like, "Look, I get it. He's your buddy, blah, blah, blah." And Bucky goes, "Have you ever jumped on a live grenade?" He's like, "Yeah, I have 4 times, actually. It's the thing I do with the helmet is reinforced." Completely missing the point. Completely missing the point because back in the 40s, there wasn't a lot of this tech for the soldiers. So when Steve jumped on a dud grenade to try to save everyone, that showed he's pure of heart. We're very quickly going to see the type of character that John Walker is. So they're sharing info. They're talking. They tracked Sam through Red Wing, and he's like, "You hacked Red Wing." He's like, "Well, it's technically government property." And they go on talking about the global repatriation. Essentially, people come back from being snapped, or they call it the blip. People come back. They need their socials. They need everything that they had when they came back. So they are part of the team that kind of is boots on the ground taking care of things, but there are other people taking care of the stuff. And Sam is saying, "No. So who are you?" John Walker already introduced. He said, "Who are you?" Lamar Hopkins. He's like, "No. That doesn't tell me who you are. Who are you?" He's like, "I'm Battlestar." Obviously, Battlestar is a nod to when Bucky had that star on his arm before Iron Man blew it off in Civil War, and he's just done. He's like, "Yeah, I'm out. Stop truck." He gets to walking, and John is saying, "Hey, you guys got your butts kicked. We helped you, but at the same time, we know we need help with this." And he'll be helpful to have Cap's wingman at his side. And Sam's like, and That's the one. That's always the last line people say. And he just gets out and he walks with his friend. Meanwhile, meanwhile at the villain's lair, and actually, I promised to tell you about Battlestar. Battlestar is an actual character. And he actually did team up with U.S. Agent John Walker. He was part of a group called the Bucks, which is a whole acronym. I don't really want to get into it. I might have information. I do have information right here. A Dr. Carl Mollis was one of the ones who helped reverse engineer a serum to make super soldiers. Eventually, U.S. Agent and Battlestar will be powered. I know they will. And he changed his name from Buck E because someone had, another black man convinced him, because that's what slave owners had called large black, they called us bucks. So he went by the name Battlestar. And of course, Battlestar used a fake shield. He used a three-pointed shield. Real character. I applaud you for actually using real characters and not making ones up. Good job. But I digress. The villains are at a lair, and I call Carly stupid in my notes. She whistles. They're called Robin Hoods. This German guy, says, my wife made you guys this food, and we're down with the cause, and thank you. And I ugh because she's British. I'm guessing everyone's from different nationalities, because most of their things that they do are through Eastern and Central Europe. They want war without borders. They're spreading things, but she does get a unknown number on her phone that says, "I'm going to find you and kill you. You took what is mine." I have several theories on who that is. I want to make sure I don't forget that. Phone call. So, meanwhile, Bucky and Sam are on the plane. Bucky's sitting, Sam's laying down. He wants to take the shield back. And Sam's like, well, we can't just beat up a guy and take the shield back. They got their asses handed to them by super soldiers, and they have nothing. And he's recapping what happened in Civil War. Basically saying, I went into hiding while you were in Wakanda taking your nap. Sharon Carter, she was ousted as a traitor. She was on the run too. I don't want to be on the run anymore. So they're trying to figure out what the next move is, and Bucky knows what their next move is. Suddenly, they're now in Baltimore. and they're in a very, very, very urban area. Very urban area. If you know what I'm talking about. And a black kid goes, "Hey, it's Black Falcon." And he's like, "It's just Falcon." He's like, "Well, my dad said it's Black Falcon." He's like, "Why? Because I'm black?" He's like, "Well, yeah." He's like, "Okay, so then you're Black Kid then." And the kid's friend laughs. He's like, "Yeah, I got him." Very nice moment. It's kind of showing the kind of interactions that Sam would have if he was Captain America, which I enjoy. I enjoy that Sam Wilson is very much a man of the people. So, uh, they get to a door, and Bucky says, "I'm here to say Isaiah." I'm full disclosure. I'm marking out because I know what's happening. The guy on inside said he's not. There's no guy named Isaiah here. You guys need to leave. You need to get to stepping. He's like, tell him the guy from Goyong from the bar is here. So they get inside, and the person here, it is Carl. I'm just gonna skip forward in my notes. Carl Lumbly. If you don't know who Carl Lumbly is the voice of John Johns, aka the Martian Manhunter. He's been the Martian Manhunter forever. Justice League Limited. He's a great voice actor. He was a detective in Cagney and Lacey, slightly before my time, but some of you probably know Cagney and Lacey. He's been in a ton of stuff. Great actor. He actually played Martian Manhunter's dad in Supergirl. So, he's here. He is Isaiah Thomas. If you guys have been with me from the beginning of me trying to do my videos and doing my channel for Black History Month, I talked about Isaiah Thomas, and Isaiah Thomas is the Black Captain America. He is the guy who came after Cap went under the ice and went missing. And His story is very reminiscent of the Tuskegee syphilis experiment. Basically, it's something that you definitely need to look up. Under the guise of giving free health care, they let several hundred black men have syphilis, keep syphilis, die from syphilis and its complications, and pass it on to not only their partners, their wives, they also pass it on to their children. And actually, the last person who was the experiment went from the 1930s to 1972, and the very last person who was in that experiment actually died in 2004. Big deal. There's a lot of there's I don't know if the families have gotten reparations for that yet from Georgia, but yeah, his story is very reminiscent of that. And Isaiah's having a nice back and forth with Bucky. They met in 1951, and Hydra feared Isaiah Thomas, the Black Captain America. They feared him. They had they were sending the good guys were sending soldiers in, and this was in Korea during the Korean War. They were sending soldiers in, and none of them would come back. It was Bucky that was killing them. And when he went toe to toe with Isaiah, Isaiah said he took half of his arm and beat the hell out of Bucky, which is just the so they are paying homage to this character so well. He only let a man to see if he grew the arm back, metal arm back, if he was there to kill him. This is actually a character that people they wanted Will Smith. A lot of people want Will Smith to play this character, do like a little flashback movie. But Bucky says he's not a killer. Isaiah says you don't, wake up. You don't get to decide and wake up one day who you are, who you aren't. It's not like that. Maybe for folks like you, it is. You and your people did this, this, and this. They put him in jail, and they took his blood. He was in jail, and in the comics, he was actually put in jail for 30 years. That's kind of how it is. They branded Isaiah Thomas as a criminal, even though he was doing what his country asked him to do. And actually, in the comics, the reaction to not only the serum but being in solitary confinement actually gave him very early onset dementia. It's a very sad story. And while he still has his mental faculties here, he is very much was experimented on by Hydra agents who were posing as Americans. They were taking his blood. It's obvious that there are more super soldiers out there. And Sam is pissed. Sam is saying there was a black Captain America and you didn't tell me about it. Did Steve know? He's like, no, Steve didn't know. Steve had been through, Isaiah had been through a lot. That's why Bucky didn't tell anybody about him. He didn't want, the dude was jailed, his blood was taken. They did horrible things to him. He didn't want to put him through anymore. Well, to show how modernized this show is and close with the times, the police come because they see Sam and Bucky having this heated conversation. And they're saying, is everything all right? And he's saying, yeah, we're having a conversation. Can I see your ID? And Sam's like, no, you don't need to see my ID. And he even tells Bucky, the guy doesn't need to see my ID. He doesn't need to see anything about me at all. And the white cops harassing Sam, literally about to arrest him. And Bucky's like, you really don't know who this guy is. The other white cop whispers his ears. He says, oh my God, I'm sorry. I didn't recognize you, without the suit. And two more cop cars come in. There's actually a warrant for Bucky because he missed his court-mandated therapy session. This scene was mwah. Love this scene to death because not only do you have the people around, you have the steady frustration of Sam Wilson. Sam Wilson is literally a hero who has saved so many people, and even still, he faces the hardships that it is to be a black man in America. Well, at the police station, Sam meets Dr. Rayner, who is obviously Bucky's therapist that we saw in the last episode. She didn't get him out. John Walker got him out. And John Walker also happens to be someone who used to be in her squad a long, long time ago. Walker pulls some strings. It's going to be the last time that Bucky needs to have one of these mandated therapy sessions because he wants to have a conversation with Bucky and Sam later. She tells Sam, all right, since this is it, this is your last session, we're going to talk. Sam, you're getting in here. And she gives him no choice. They're in there. They're basically having couples therapy. They're forced to sit almost leg to leg like this, trying to express trying to express their feelings to one another. They even have a staring contest where she breaks up, and she tells Bucky, "Why are you so agitated with him?" without saying something smart. And he says, "Why'd you give up the shield?" And Sam keeps saying that's none of your business. And Bucky says, "No, Steve gave you that shield because he believed in you. He saw something in you. And if he was wrong about you, then that means he is probably wrong about me." And Bucky has so much. He is so torn up over the actions that he has done over the last 70 to 80 years as a Winter Soldier, even though he had no control over his own actions. The families he's broken up, the children, the husbands, the wives, etc., that he has killed. He even killed Iron Man's parents. That is a hard thing for a man to live with. And he just wants to know that his best friend saw something in him, and he wants to feel like, well, if he saw something in Sam, he believed in Sam 120%. But if he's wrong about Sam, is he wrong about him? Sam has had enough of this. He thanks the doctor for making it awkward and leaves out. Bucky comes out and flat out says, before he leaves, she recognizes his look. He said, "What was rule number 2?" And she says, "No one gets hurt." He's like, "I'll see you around." So not Sam, Bucky, either Bucky has gotten hurt or Bucky knows that he has hurt Sam. And Sam basically said for them to settle whatever's going on in the world, they're going to squash this beef. And once they're done, they're both going to take separate vacations. These two fight like an old married couple. I've always loved their interaction, and I can't wait to see their relationship get stronger throughout this series. Granted, we have 4 more episodes, but I can't wait to see it get stronger. So when they get outside, Bucky feels awful. So when they get outside, um, they're talking to Walker. Bucky straight up hates the guy. He's literally goading him on a little bit about the shield and what it is. He's saying, "You're probably having a hard time, aren't you?" Because you can tell he has a 5 o'clock shadow. Guy's not clean cut and shaved. He does look like he's under a lot of pressure, and Bucky calls that out. And they share what they know about the Flag Smashers, where they're hitting up places. And Sam brings up, he says, he says that John Walker says he wants them to join them, work together. Sam says, "We're technically free agents." They're both given pardons, but Sam still works with the Air Force. Sam is a former Air Force, I don't know, pilot, but he was in Air Force. Bucky is Bucky. Come on. So they can do things as registered heroes, but since they don't have anybody they need to answer to, it would be harder for them to work with them. And so Walker just flat out says, "Well, you know what? You stay the hell out of my way." Which, very nice job. Painting this guy at first to be like, "Oh, he just want to do the right thing. Oh, you're a jackass." That happened relatively quickly. So, the Flag Smashers have been found out in their hideout. They didn't take the, I guess this is Interpol. It didn't take them long to find them. One of the Flag Smashers who was given the rousing speech saying, "One world, one nation, whatever, blah, 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 blah." He's going to be the one to hold them off. And he shares a kiss with Carly, and she leaves. He pushes over a lamppost, and dude just makes a run towards. There's like 10 cars here, everyone with their guns drawn. While you're a super soldier, fake cap show that all we have to do is shoot you. Bullets riddle this guy. They're upset because they are already too late. So while Sam and Bucky, it's dark there. It's dark where Sam and Bucky are. So they're making a walk, and Bucky says, thinking about what Isaiah said, he said, "My people." And Sam goes, "Hey, don't take it too far." He's like, "No, he means Hydra." He's saying that if there's more super soldiers out there, it's probably something to do with Hydra. So we're going to have to talk to him. Who's one guy that knows a lot about Hydra? And Sam is pissed, and Bucky's like, "Well, we're going to have to talk to him." They're going to talk to Zemo. Helmut Zemo, aka Baron Zemo, who was in the comics part of Hydra, but in the MCU he is a guy from Sokovia who essentially, he hates heroes and he hates Hydra. He'll kill them both. But he's still a villain because he was willing to tear down these heroes from the inside out and kill a lot of people while doing it, only to be caught by Black Panther, Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. So we get the nice little classical music showing, it's playing in the background. We're shown through the jail, and we see Helmut Zemo looking up. That's where we left off on this episode. Uh, Man, I'm gonna be completely real with you. I'm straight up giving this episode a 5 out of 5 for the simple fact that they did Isaiah Thomas and they did him justice. Not only did they take the source material 100%, everything, most of the stuff that happened to him in the comics happened to him here. So he wasn't fighting Nazis along with Cap. He was right, during the same era as Cap. He was actually fighting in the Korea War, still fighting the Hydra Nazis, and even actually kicked the shit out of Bucky. Uh, and the fact that we see, and the characters named in the credits, I always tell you guys, read the credits. Eli Bradley, who is Patriot of the first iteration of the Young Avengers, who during his time, first he was taking this mutant extract to get powers, because before John Walker became sterile because of the serum, he did have a son. His son had a son, obviously, and if initially, Eli Bradley did not have powers, and he was taking this serum. He was juicing up. He had to leave the team because they found out, and he actually did look up to Captain America. And Captain America finally met Isaiah Thomas. Excuse me, Isaiah Bradley. I don't know why I keep saying Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Bradley, and finally understood the weight of what it meant to be a black Captain America. Took him under his wing. Eventually, a blood fusion from his grandfather gave Eli those powers. So I'm going to assume that one, since he doesn't have dementia, I'm going to assume that he is not sterile in this universe, and that Eli probably does have abilities and is probably going to work on it, and will probably under the tutelage of Sam and Bucky towards the end of this. I enjoy the fact that this series is deeply rooted with Captain America series. It's the things that happen in episode 1 are rippling. Episode 1, things that happen in the first movie are rippling. Things that were referenced and going on in Winter Soldier are still rippling, and everyone feels what happened in Civil War and in Endgame and Infinity War. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Is there anything I want to say? I will share a link at the bottom from Polygon. They go a little bit more in depth with what was going on with Isaiah Bradley. Still don't know why I kept saying Isaiah Thomas at the beginning, but yeah, I'm elated. A little bit more background on Isaiah Bradley before I let you guys go. The one thing they did change here is that he's not widely known throughout the black community. He isn't one of our black heroes in this universe like he is in the 616 comics universe, because everyone who's black knows him. Luke Cage had to explain to Wolverine who Isaiah Bradley was when Storm, Night Thrasher, he was there for the wedding of Storm and Black Panther. Everyone who was a black superhero flocked around him. And actually, when Steve had a chance to talk to Isaiah's wife in his home when he was still having having heavily into his dementia, there's just a wall of 20th century black royalty on the wall. He's met Richard Pryor. He's met Colin Powell. He's met Michael Jackson. He met Malcolm X. I think he met Dr. King. And if you pay attention, on the corner of Steve's right shoulder, you can see an obvious picture of Stan Lee, which I love the fact that they did that. But he is a superstar in the comics. The fact that they chose to have him be kind of hidden here makes sense. I kind of wish he was widely known so that a bunch of these black stars can be like, hey, I'm modeling myself after him. But it looks like Sam is going to be the first black Captain America that everyone knows. We're going to see the evolution of Sam feeling that he is worthy. And he's already showing properties of being a people person, sticking to his morals, of doing what is right. One of my theories, there is a character I mentioned, Carl Malus, who gave Battlestar's powers in the comics. He also turns Torres into the Falcon with wings and everything. This could be the person who developed the serum and is upset that these Flag Smashers stole his serum and took it, and he's probably going to kill them. or maybe Carly Morgenthau is actually the daughter of Carl Morgenthau, and he is the Flag Smasher, and that is what's that could be what's happening. We could also be witnessing the birth of the Thunderbolts. Helmut Zemo started the Thunderbolts, a anti-hero, anti-villain coalition. They do fight bad guys, but they still are rough around the edges. I love the Thunderbolts. Easily one of my top 5 favorite teams in comic books. Won't be Dr. Faustus because he died in Agent Carter. They still connect to that. Won't be several people unless it's Arnim Zolo, and I thought Arnim Zolo died in Winter Soldier. So who knows? I still want to know who's behind that weird text. Could be her dad. Could be Mollis. And I already told you who Carl Lundy was. I can't believe they actually got this guy for that. But yeah, I've handled everything. Told you who Isaiah Bradley was. Thank you for showing up. I hope you enjoyed not just my review, but I hope you enjoyed the episode like I did. Please leave a comment in the comment section down there in the below. Let me know what you thought of the episode. What are you excited to see? Are you as elated as I am to see Isaiah Bradley in the MCU? Which means that we are definitely going to get Young Avengers, even though Patriot was replaced with Miss America. I think her name is America Chavez. He was replaced. America Chavez is showing up in the Multiverse of Madness, so maybe he'll hang on with the other black. Maybe hang on with Sam, who will be the black. Say Black Superman, the Black Captain America. Please leave a like, a comment down below what you think, and hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, please hit the notification button. I do videos like this every week. I try to do them every weekend. I really hope you enjoyed. Remember to share the video so others can see the great discussion that we're having. As always, I appreciate your time. Be good, be blessed. Wash your hands, wear a mask. Be good to others as well as being good to yourself. Don't be a jerk. Black Lives Matter, and I will definitely see you next time.